Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey into the remarkable intellect and really the lasting impact of Stephen Hawking.
Right.
You, our listener, are likely familiar with his name, maybe even his huge book, A Brief History of Time.
Yeah, it was massive.
But we're going deeper today. We're drawing insights from his later work, brief answers to the big questions, and also reflections from people who actually knew him. So think of this as your fast track, sort of, to grasping the essential ideas of this extraordinary mind. We'll be covering, well, everything from mysteries of the cosmos, the enigma of black holes.
All the way to the future of humanity, artificial intelligence, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And what made Hawking's perspective so uniquely powerful was, well, obviously his towering intellect operating within, the huge limitations imposed by ALS.
What really strikes you when you delve into Hawking's work is just the sheer scope of his thinking, especially when you think about the profound personal obstacles he overcame. His mind wasn't just confined to one little scientific niche. He was grappling with the really big questions, the fundamental riddles that have, perplexed humanity for ages.
Absolutely.
And as we explore these sources together, you'll start to see how his own lived experiences often kind of intertwined with his relentless pursuit of scientific understanding.
Let's start by painting a more personal picture. Imagine standing face to face with Stephen Hawking. There's one story that really stuck with me describing just that kind of encounter.
Okay.
This person recounted his main way of communicating that instantly recognizable synthesized voice, but also his incredibly expressive eyebrows that apparently conveyed a whole spectrum of emotions.
Yeah, I've heard that. Amazing, really.
So feeling a bit awkward in the silence, this individual started chatting about the coincidence of their birthdays being just days apart, putting them under the same zodiac sign.
Uh-oh. You can see where this is going, can't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about how we tend to view these figures of such, immense intellectual stature, doesn't it?
It does. We'd sometimes forget the actual person behind the massive achievements.
Totally. And Hawking's reply was delivered with his typical sharpness. I'm an astronomer, not an astrologer.
Classic.
And he also made it clear he preferred to be called Stephen, not Professor. It's a small detail, but it just kind of illuminates his grounded nature, despite his extraordinary gifts.
What resonates most with you about that little exchange? Is it the wit? Or?
For me, it just immediately brings him down to earth. It pierces through that icon status and reveals, a quick wit, but also a really strong sense of his own identity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's pivot a bit. One of our sources gives a really fascinating look at the experience of actually portraying Hawking in the film, The Theory of Everything.
Ah, yes, Eddie Redmayne's performance.
Exactly. And that gives us another valuable lens to understand him through.
Seen from a broader perspective, the film really tried to capture not just Hawking's amazing scientific breakthroughs, but also his intense personal struggle with motor neuron disease, which started, in his early 20s?
Yeah. Incredibly young.
It highlighted that powerful dichotomy in his life. The outward brilliance set against this immense internal battle.
Precisely. The goal wasn't just to inspire, but to show the sheer determination and courage of both Stephen and the people who dedicated themselves to his care.
Right. His family, his caregivers.
Yeah. The actor who played him, Redmayne, even kept 3 evocative images in his trailer for inspiration. Einstein sticking his tongue out, representing that playful intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
The Joker, symbolizing Hawking's ability to sort of command attention like a puppeteer.
Interesting comparison.
And James Dean capturing a certain mischievous glint and that underlying humor he had.
It's intriguing how much thought went into capturing the nuances of his personality, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Moving beyond just a straightforward biographical account.
And here's where it gets really compelling. When Hawking finally watched the finished film, he famously said that while he enjoyed it, found it moving. He felt there should have been more physics and fewer feelings.
You can't argue with that, can you? Pure Hawking.
Exactly. You really can't.
It just underscores his core passion, doesn't it? While he obviously appreciated the human story, his fundamental drive was always the exploration of the universe's deepest secrets.
Even after his passing, that connection with the Hawking family continued. Redmayne was even honored by being asked to give a reading at Stephen's funeral.
Wow.
And by all accounts, it was profoundly sad, of course, but also incredibly uplifting, full of deep affection and joyful memories of this courageous man who excelled not just in science, but also as a powerful advocate for disability rights.
That really emphasizes the multifaceted nature of his legacy, doesn't it? He wasn't just a towering scientific figure. He was a source of inspiration and a powerful advocate on a very personal level for so many people.
There's a quote that sums it up beautifully. "We have lost a truly beautiful mind, an astonishing scientist, and the funniest man I have ever had the pleasure to meet."
That's lovely.
And Barack Obama's sentiment about Stephen now having fun among the stars adds such a poignant touch. It feels like this collection of his later writings, brief answers to the big questions, is really a continuation of that extraordinary legacy.
Absolutely. It gives us a chance to keep engaging with his profound thoughts and perspectives on these huge, enduring questions.
So let's dive into some of those truly radical discoveries. Black holes. The name itself evokes mystery.
Definitely.
And one of Hawking's most profound contributions was the theoretical prediction of Hawking temperature and Hawking radiation. This was, well, it was a truly revolutionary concept.
It really was. It forged this completely unexpected link between seemingly separate realms of physics: general relativity, thermodynamics, the study of heat, and quantum physics.
What makes this so remarkable is exactly that connection, right? Connecting fields that people thought were largely separate.
Precisely. Black holes, governed by the immense force of gravity, were suddenly shown to possess a temperature and emit radiation concepts usually tied to heat and the quantum world of tiny particles.
It suggested a much deeper interconnectedness in the universe than anyone had previously imagined.
Yeah, a fundamental unity.
And from this groundbreaking idea came the realization that a black hole possesses entropy.
Right, a measure of its internal disorder or randomness.
Which implies a staggering amount of randomness contained within or maybe around these cosmic giants. The formula for this entropy is even inscribed on his memorial stone at Gonville and Caius College.
It is. It's S equals KAC cubed over 4GH bar, a testament to its importance.
It's just mind-boggling to think of such immense disorder being linked to these cosmic vacuum cleaners.
Well, if we step back and look at the bigger picture, entropy is often linked to disorder, or perhaps more accurately, the number of possible internal states.
Okay.
So the fact that black holes have entropy suggests that despite their apparently simple exterior defined only by that event horizon, the point of no return, they must possess a really rich and complex inner life, or at least structure.
Shifting focus slightly, one of our sources talks about a really engaging time spent at Caltech with Hawking's research group, digging into the exciting possibility of detecting gravitational waves.
Ah, yes, with Kip Thorne and others.
Apparently, Hawking and Gary Gibbons had even thought up their own design for a gravitational wave detector much earlier, though it never actually got built.
That really highlights Hawking's early interest in areas of research that have only recently, moved to the forefront of observational astronomy. It shows his remarkable foresight and just the sheer breadth of his scientific curiosity, always looking towards the next frontier.
And this early exploration eventually led to a pivotal all-night discussion that profoundly influenced one researcher, Kip Thorne in this case, ultimately convincing him to dedicate his entire career to chasing gravitational waves.
And thank goodness he did.
Exactly. As we now know, with the amazing detection of those elusive waves by LIGO, that decision played a huge part in a major scientific triumph.
It's a beautiful illustration of the collaborative spirit in science, isn't it? And it underscores how Hawking's influence went far beyond his own direct research. He had this incredible ability to inspire and guide others towards making truly groundbreaking discoveries.
Okay, now let's try to grapple with a really mind-bending puzzle. The information loss paradox.
Right, this is a big one.
Hawking theorized that information, the specific details of what falls into a black hole, is lost when the black hole eventually evaporates through Hawking radiation.
Which sounds reasonable at first glance.
But this prediction clashes head-on with a fundamental principle of quantum physics, which basically states that information can never be completely, utterly destroyed. It has to be preserved somehow, somewhere.
This is where things get incredibly fascinating and, frankly, deeply troubling for theoretical physicists. Quantum mechanics operates with this almost sacred principle of information conservation, like a cosmic ledger that always has to balance. Hawking's prediction of information loss seemed to just tear a hole right through this fundamental idea.
Exactly, and black hole evaporation operates under the still pretty mysterious laws of quantum gravity, that elusive theory that tries to marry general relativity and quantum mechanics.
Which we still don't fully have, of course.
Right. Hawking reasoned that this extreme environment, the edge of a black hole, might be the one place where the ultimate destruction of information is allowed. But most theoretical physicists found this idea deeply unsettling.
What really stands out to you about this paradox? Why is it so captivating?
For me, it's the sheer audacity of challenging such a bedrock principle of physics, and the fact that it's captured and, confounded some of the most brilliant minds in the field for over 4 decades. That just speaks volumes about how deep and significant this problem is for our fundamental understanding of reality.
If we think about the bigger picture, the ongoing struggle to resolve the information loss paradox is actually a major driving force in our efforts to finally understand quantum gravity, the theoretical framework we hope will eventually unify our understanding of the universe at both the largest cosmic scales and the smallest quantum scales.
Even Hawking himself, back in 2003, proposed a potential way out, a mechanism for information to maybe escape during black hole evaporation.
He did, yeah. Sort of conceded the bet he'd made earlier.
But it wasn't a definitive proof, was it? And the debate still rages on today. It's like this cosmic whodunit with no clear culprit yet.
Indeed, it perfectly illustrates the continuous evolving nature of science. Even the most brilliant minds don't have all the answers, and the pursuit of knowledge is this ongoing process of questioning, refining, and sometimes, completely overturning what we thought we knew.
Okay, stepping back from the nitty-gritty of black holes for a moment, let's consider the big, overarching questions that really fueled Hawking's curiosity throughout his life.
The fundamental ones.
Where did the universe come from? Is there any underlying meaning? And the big one, are we alone, or is there other life out there?
He really drew a stark contrast between, say, ancient creation myths and modern superstitions, didn't he? Emphasizing how the discoveries of real science often turn out to be far stranger and ultimately more satisfying than anything cooked up in science fiction.
What's really compelling there is Hawking's unwavering belief in the power of rational inquiry. He saw it as the most reliable path towards understanding these profound questions that have, haunted humanity for millennia.
He viewed science as the essential tool to replace mere speculation with explanations grounded in evidence and observation.
He clearly identified himself first and foremost as a scientist, deeply fascinated by physics and cosmology. A curiosity, he said, was nurtured in him by his parents. He even mentioned his initial thought early in his career that he might actually witness the end of physics within his lifetime.
A common thought at various points in history.
Right, only to realize later that the universe just holds this endless capacity for surprising and wonderful discoveries.
That reflects a common experience among scientists, I think. As one mystery gets seemingly solved, it just invariably opens up a whole new landscape of often even deeper questions. It ensures the quest for knowledge is ongoing, self-sustaining.
It's also quite insightful that he directly tackled that widespread belief that real science is just too difficult for the average person to understand.
Yeah, he strongly disagreed with that.
Vehemently disagreed. He argued that the fundamental concepts, the big ideas, can be understood without having to wade through all the complex math. And you can see throughout his life, he clearly relished the challenge of presenting these often really intricate ideas in a way that was accessible to a broad audience.
That dedication to science and communication was such a huge part of his legacy, wasn't it? He firmly believed that everyone, regardless of their background, should have the chance to understand the universe and our place within it.
Now let's delve into his formative years, the influences that shaped that extraordinary mind. He was born exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo Galilei.
A coincidence he quite enjoyed pointing out.
A historical coincidence he couldn't help but find rather intriguing. He spent his early childhood in a somewhat unconventional home in Highgate, London, a house bought relatively cheaply during World War II, and a V-2 rocket even landed surprisingly close by.
Wow. That historical context really gives a fascinating glimpse into his early life, a world still grappling with the aftermath of war, but also right on the cusp of incredible scientific and technological leaps.
He fondly recalled playing in a nearby bomb site with a friend, their young minds just investigating the remnants with that same innate curiosity that would later drive his cosmic investigations.
That early curiosity is key.
Later, the family moved to St. Albans, and despite being, by his own account, only an average student within a particularly bright group.
Right, he wasn't top of the class initially.
His classmates still gave him the nickname Einstein, hinting that they saw something truly special even then. There's even a funny story about a bet that he would never amount to anything.
It's always fascinating to see those early glimpses of potential, even if they aren't immediately obvious in traditional grades. The Einstein nickname from his peers is really telling, isn't it? Suggests they recognized his unique way of thinking early on.
He had this persistent curiosity about how things worked, often taking them apart, though he admitted he was much less skilled at putting them back together.
Huh. A theorist, not an experimentalist, even then.
Maybe. Perhaps it foreshadowed his later strength in theoretical reasoning over practical tinkering. His father strongly supported his scientific interests and encouraged him to apply to Oxford or Cambridge. And surprisingly, given his earlier school record, he successfully got a natural science scholarship to University College, Oxford.
That marks a really significant turning point, obviously, opening the door to the formal scientific education that would shape his entire career.
His time at Oxford wasn't exactly characterized by intense, non-stop studying. Apparently, he figured he'd only actually done about 1,000 hours of work over 3 years.
That sounds relaxed.
He formulated a rather strategic plan: focus on theoretical physics in the final exams, deliberately avoiding questions that needed just rote memorization.
Smart strategy.
But a sleepless night before the crucial exam led to a borderline result, needing an interview with the examiners. His very direct answers about his ambition to do research and his conditional interest in Cambridge only if he got a first-class degree
Bold move.
clearly impressed them because he did get that first-class degree.
It really highlights his strategic thinking and his very clear ambition to pursue research, even at that early stage.
So he arrived in Cambridge in 1962, initially hoping to work under Fred Hoyle, a really prominent astronomer at the time.
A giant in the field, then.
But Hoyle already had enough research students. So to Hawking's initial disappointment, he was assigned to Dennis Sciama, a name he wasn't familiar with then. But in retrospect, this turned out to be incredibly fortunate. It steered him away from having to defend Hoyle's steady-state theory of the universe.
Which was about to be overturned by evidence for the Big Bang.
Exactly. So he started his research by just immersing himself in classic textbooks on general relativity, his mind already drawn towards the universe's biggest, most fundamental questions.
That unforeseen twist of fate really underscores the unpredictable nature of academic paths, doesn't it? How seemingly disappointing events can lead to better opportunities. And that early dive into general relativity laid the crucial groundwork for everything that followed.
It was during his third year at Oxford, actually, that he first started noticing this increasing clumsiness. Simple things like rowing became difficult. A doctor initially suggested he just cut back on beer.
Not exactly helpful advice.
Clearly missed the mark. The winter after he arrived in Cambridge brought a key moment. During Christmas break in St. Albans, his mother, despite his reluctance, persuaded him to go ice skating.
Right.
He fell, struggled to get up, and that finally alerted his mother that something was seriously wrong, prompting a proper medical consultation.
And that marks the beginning of his lifelong battle with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. A profound challenge that would shape not just his personal life, but his entire scientific journey.
To get vital support for his studies, he applied for a prestigious research fellowship at Gonville and Caius College. To his considerable surprise and immense relief, he was elected.
A position he held for the rest of his life.
That election was a crucial turning point. It gave him the resources to continue his research despite his progressing disability. And it also laid the foundation for his marriage to Jane in July 1965, and later the arrival of their 3 children.
That fellowship offered not just financial support, but also that vital sense of stability and belonging within the academic community. It allowed him to build a fulfilling personal life alongside his increasingly groundbreaking scientific work.
Around this pivotal time, Roger Penrose's groundbreaking work on singularities inside collapsing stars really grabbed his attention.
Penrose had shown rigorously that once a star contracts beyond a certain point, gravity inevitably leads to a singularity, a point where space-time, as we know it, essentially ends.
And Hawking had this profound insight. He realized that similar mathematical arguments could be applied, but in reverse, to the expansion of the universe.
Right, tracing it backwards in time.
Which strongly suggested the existence of singularities at the very beginning of time, where space-time itself must have originated.
That was a truly crucial intellectual leap. Taking these abstract mathematical ideas about collapsing stars and applying them to the entire universe, it provided incredibly strong theoretical support for the Big Bang model.
The period that followed in theoretical physics is often looked back on as a real golden age for black hole theory.
Absolutely.
Remarkably, many of the fundamental problems about black holes were solved theoretically, even before we had definitive observational proof that they actually existed.
It was an amazing time of theoretical progress.
After publishing his influential book with George Ellis, The Large-Scale Structure of Spacetime, Hawking turned his focus towards unifying general relativity with quantum theory. He started pondering really intriguing questions, like whether tiny primordial black holes formed in the early universe could potentially be the nuclei of atoms.
This intense period of theoretical exploration led to that astonishing discovery of a deep, previously unsuspected relationship between gravity and thermodynamics, the science of heat.
Right.
And this connection played a key role in resolving that long-standing paradox about information in black holes.
That's right. He made the significant discovery that information isn't actually completely lost when it falls into a black hole, but it's just not returned in a readily usable or decipherable form.
Like burning an encyclopedia, he said.
Yeah.
You get smoke and ash, but you can't read the information anymore.
Exactly. A puff of smoke and a pile of ashes.
It was a truly profound insight, hinting at this fundamental link between seemingly unrelated areas of physics.
In 1974, an invitation from Kip Thorne brought him and his family to Caltech in California.
A significant move.
Before this, he'd relied on a manual wheelchair and a slow electric three-wheeled car. The much more accessible environment in the U.S. allowed him, for the first time, to use a full-time electric wheelchair.
And that made a huge difference to his independence, didn't it?
A substantial and much welcomed increase in personal independence, yes.
That seemingly small change in daily life had a truly transformative impact, giving him greater freedom and autonomy in both his personal and professional life.
When he returned to Cambridge in 1975, he initially felt a bit downcast, apparently finding Britain a bit provincial compared to the can-do spirit he'd found in America.
Interesting.
But his spirits were soon lifted by his continued success in research, culminating in his prestigious election to the Lucasian Professorship of Mathematics in 1979.
Which is an incredibly esteemed position. Newton held it direct.
Exactly, an exceptional academic chair.
That appointment marked a real pinnacle of academic achievement and a powerful recognition of his groundbreaking contributions.
During the 70s, while his main focus had been black holes, his deep interest in cosmology was reignited by the theory of rapid inflationary expansion in the very early universe.
Right, the idea that the universe underwent this incredibly fast expansion just moments after the Big Bang.
And he also started a significant collaboration with Jim Hartle, which led them to formulate the innovative no-boundary theory of the universe's birth.
The no-boundary proposal is a particularly fascinating and thought-provoking idea. It suggests the universe might not have had a sharp, singular beginning in the usual sense, but maybe existed in a state with no initial boundary in what physicists call imaginary time.
It's a concept that really bends the mind. By the early 1980s, his health unfortunately continued its gradual decline. He suffered from increasingly frequent and frightening choking fits.
That must have been terrifying.
Then, in 1985, while on a trip to CERN in Switzerland, he contracted severe pneumonia, a life-threatening event that would profoundly impact his remaining years.
Right. He was rushed to hospital in Lucerne, put on a ventilator.
Tragically, the doctors there suggested the possibility of turning off the ventilator.
But his wife, Jane, refused.
Resolutely refused, and he was flown back to Cambridge by air ambulance to continue his care.
A truly critical moment. It underscores the unwavering support and determination of his family in the face of just immense adversity.
Fortunately, a computer expert in California, Walt Wolters, heard about his communication struggles and generously sent him this revolutionary program called Equalizer.
Ah, the beginning of his famous voice system.
Exactly. This ingenious software let Stephen select words on a screen using a simple hand switch, effectively giving him back a voice. Over time, this evolved into the more advanced ACAT program, controlled by subtle cheek movements detected by a sensor in his glasses.
An incredible technological breakthrough.
It not only restored his ability to communicate effectively, but also gave him continued access to the internet, leading him to jokingly call himself the most connected person in the world. And despite huge advances in speech synthesis tech later on, he chose to keep using his original synthesizer, partly because of its distinctive phrasing, but also because he strongly identified with that unique voice.
That technological lifeline was absolutely crucial, wasn't it? It allowed him to continue his groundbreaking research and maintain his vital connection with the world. It powerfully demonstrates the transformative potential of assistive technology.
And then in 1988 came the publication of A Brief History of Time, released maybe fittingly on April Fool's Day.
Originally considered a slightly longer title, right? From the Big Bang to Black Holes, A Short History of Time.
That's right. They shortened it to Brief, and the book's success just went stratospheric, far exceeding anyone's wildest expectations.
What's particularly fascinating about its phenomenal success is that it wasn't just the science. The incredibly compelling human story, his extraordinary achievements despite profound disabilities, played a huge role in its global appeal. It resonated deeply.
Absolutely. Even if many readers didn't fully grasp every intricate cosmological detail, the book acted as this powerful catalyst. It prompted people to engage with the fundamental questions of existence, to contemplate the idea of a universe governed by rational, understandable laws.
Yeah.
To his physicist colleagues, he was, of course, highly respected. But to the wider public, he became arguably the most recognizable scientist on the planet. He even embraced the label disabled genius, as he wryly put it. And while that intense fame inevitably had downsides, he felt the positives overwhelmingly outweighed them. He often noted the genuine pleasure people seemed to get from just seeing him. He even addressed his largest audience ever when he opened the London Paralympic Games in 2012.
That extraordinary public recognition really underscores the profound impact he had, didn't it? It extended far beyond scientific discovery to touch countless lives as a powerful symbol of resilience and the indomitable human intellect.
The complex relationship between science and religion was another major area he explored. That rather provocative newspaper headline, "Hawking, God did not create universe," certainly stirred up considerable debate.
It did. But it's important to understand his position wasn't necessarily anti-religious in a simple sense.
Right. His work was fundamentally about seeking a rational, consistent framework to understand how the universe works. It wasn't a direct attempt to either prove or disprove God's existence.
Exactly. It's crucial to appreciate the nuance. He wasn't necessarily denying the possibility of a creator outright, but rather arguing that the established laws of nature provide a complete and sufficient explanation for the universe's origin and evolution without needing divine intervention.
He shrewdly pointed out how, for centuries, physical disability was often seen through a religious lens, frequently interpreted as a divine curse or punishment. In contrast, he consistently sought explanations rooted in the observable laws of nature. While he acknowledged you could certainly define God as the embodiment of those natural laws.
Like Einstein sometimes.
Yeah. He felt that differed significantly from the more common understanding of a personal, human-like deity you could have a relationship with. A concept he found increasingly implausible given the sheer scale and complexity of the cosmos.
Right. The vastness makes a personal relationship seem unlikely to him.
He used historical examples effectively, like Aristarchus explaining eclipses scientifically, challenging divine intervention and leading to our understanding of the solar system, and later realizing stars are distant suns. His ultimate conclusion was that the universe operates like a magnificent machine, governed by principles and laws that are inherently understandable.
That historical perspective beautifully illustrates the long-standing tension and sometimes dialogue between religious and scientific explanations, and powerfully underscores the capacity of rational inquiry to unravel the workings of the cosmos.
He firmly asserted that discovering these fundamental natural laws is one of humankind's greatest achievements. They provide comprehensive explanations for everything we see.
And they are universal and unchanging, he emphasized.
Exactly, governing everything from a tennis ball to galaxies. And this unyielding, unbreakable nature of physical laws, he noted, is precisely what often leads to controversy from a religious viewpoint.
Because they seemingly leave no room for miracles or divine intervention.
Which then naturally leads to the profound question, what role, if any, is left for a divine creator if these laws are fixed and self-sufficient? He saw this as the very core of the dialogue, or tension, between science and religion. Defining God as simply the personification of natural laws is fundamentally different from the widely held perception of a sentient being with whom one can connect personally.
What's particularly thought-provoking here is how he frames that enduring debate, focusing on the very nature of these laws and their implications for the concept of a creator.
To illustrate how the universe could potentially originate without direct divine intervention, he used a remarkably clear analogy.
The hill and the hole analogy, right?
Exactly. Imagine building a hill. You have to simultaneously dig a hole of equal volume. The hill represents the positive energy of matter and radiation in the universe.
And the hole represents the negative energy associated with gravity.
Right. The Big Bang, he explained, effectively produced equal amounts of positive and negative energy, resulting in a net total energy of precisely zero.
A zero-sum game, cosmically speaking.
Which led him to the profound conclusion that if the entire universe sums to nothing energetically, then perhaps a divine creator isn't a necessary requirement for its existence. In essence, the universe could be the ultimate free lunch.
That concept of the universe as a kind of cosmic zero-sum energy game is a deeply profound and intellectually stimulating idea with huge ramifications for cosmology and origin theories.
Directly addressing the question of what might have triggered the Big Bang itself, he delved into the counterintuitive realm of quantum mechanics.
Where things get really weird.
At the incredibly tiny subatomic level, quantum laws allow particles to spontaneously appear and just as quickly vanish into nothingness. This makes the seemingly impossible idea of creation ex nihilo from absolute nothingness at least theoretically possible, even if only for fleeting moments.
Quantum fluctuations.
He argued that the laws of nature themselves might suggest the universe could have just popped into existence spontaneously without any external help or initial energy input, and that, fundamentally, nothing might have been the ultimate cause of the Big Bang.
This reliance on quantum fluctuations to potentially explain the initial spark is a cornerstone of many modern cosmological models, although it's fair to say it's an area that still raises profound and challenging questions for physicists.
Referencing the ancient Greek myth of Prometheus, punished for giving fire to humans, he drew a compelling parallel to humankind's persistent quest to understand the universe's deepest secrets.
Right, implying there's a kind of inherent drive, maybe even a defiance, in seeking knowledge.
He expressed his unwavering belief in our ability and fundamental right to try and understand the universe. While acknowledging a complete picture remains elusive, he was optimistic, hoping we might not be far off. He then thoughtfully contrasted ancient creation myths, like the Bashanga one,
Where the god Bumba vomits up the sun, moon, and stars.
with our ever-evolving scientific understanding of the universe's beginning. He also touched on Aristotle's belief in an eternal universe, highlighting the motivation, avoiding the need for divine intervention, contrasting it with the view that a definite beginning implies a first cause, or God.
This historical overview beautifully highlights that enduring human desire to comprehend our origins and the fascinating evolution of our explanations, moving from myth and philosophy towards more empirically grounded science.
He then turned to the expanding universe, clearly explaining Olber's paradox: why isn't the night sky blindingly bright if stars have existed forever in an infinite universe?
The resolution being that light from the most distant stars just hasn't had time to reach us yet, due to the finite speed of light and the universe's age.
Right. He then logically asked, well, if the universe is eternal, why would stars suddenly light up billions of years ago? He noted even Immanuel Kant struggled with this. He briefly mentioned the old historical view of a universe created just a few thousand years ago,
Bishop Ussher's calculation.
before Edwin Hubble's groundbreaking discoveries in the 1920s. Using the powerful Mount Wilson telescope, Hubble showed other galaxies exist at immense distances, proving a much older, larger universe.
A huge shift in perspective.
But Hubble's even more remarkable finding was that these galaxies are nearly all moving away from us. And crucially, the farther away a galaxy is, the faster it recedes.
Compelling observational evidence for an expanding universe.
This was a major intellectual revolution, completely changing the discussion about the universe's origin. If galaxies are moving apart now, they must have been much closer together in the past.
Leading to the estimation of a beginning roughly 10 to 15 billion years ago.
Further compelling evidence for a hot, dense early universe came with the serendipitous discovery in 1965 of the cosmic microwave background radiation, CMB.
The afterglow of the Big Bang.
A faint background of microwaves permeating all of space, considered the residual heat from the universe just a few 100,000 years after its birth.
And remarkably, this was discovered just a few months after Hawking published his first singularity result.
He made a surprising connection, too. For those old enough to remember analog TVs, a small percentage of the snow on empty channels was actually the CMB radiation.
Amazing, isn't it? A relic of creation appearing on our TV screens.
The only scientifically reasonable interpretation is that it's the leftover heat from an incredibly hot, dense early state, gradually cooled as the cosmos expanded over billions of years.
The discovery of the CMB is widely seen as a cornerstone of modern cosmology. It's incredibly strong observational confirmation of the Big Bang model, giving us a literal snapshot of the infant universe.
The concept of the singularity at the very beginning, though, that point of infinite density, posed a significant problem for many physicists, including Hawking himself.
Because Einstein's general relativity breaks down there.
Exactly. It's a classical theory, assuming well-defined positions and speeds for particles. Classical physics allows perfect prediction if you know the initial conditions perfectly.
But the 20th century brought quantum mechanics.
And the discovery of inherent randomness and uncertainty at very short distances. It wasn't just about needing better theories, it was a fundamental property of nature. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle states you can't simultaneously know both the precise position and speed of a particle perfectly.
The advent of quantum mechanics and the uncertainty principle caused a fundamental paradigm shift, didn't it? From a strictly deterministic view at all scales to a probabilistic one at the most fundamental levels.
Einstein famously disliked this apparent randomness with his iconic phrase, "God does not play dice."
He believed in an underlying deterministic reality, hidden variables perhaps, obscured by quantum effects, seeing except through a glass darkly, as he put it.
His view was rooted in hidden variable theories,
Right.
which seemed intuitive. Maybe there are definite properties we just can't measure perfectly. Many scientists and philosophers held this mental picture.
But experiments based on John Bell's work showed these hidden variable theories are wrong.
Right. Conclusively shown to be incorrect, suggesting that even a hypothetical God would be bound by the uncertainty principle, supporting Hawking's view of God as perhaps an inveterate gambler.
The experimental verdict against hidden variables had profound implications, suggesting the randomness we see in the quantum realm isn't just our ignorance, but a fundamental feature of the universe.
Let's circle back to black holes. The initial concept actually goes way back to 1783, with John Michell envisioning dark stars with escape velocities exceeding light speed.
But Einstein's 1915 theory of general relativity, describing gravity as space-time curvature, is crucial for our modern understanding.
Despite gravity being relatively weak compared to other forces, its infinite range and always attractive nature allow massive stars to collapse catastrophically at the end of their lives.
Though the idea was initially met with skepticism, John Wheeler was a key figure, a real hero of the black hole story, emphasizing collapse and predicting their properties.
Robert Oppenheimer's 1939 work showed massive stars couldn't support themselves against gravity and would collapse to a singularity, that point of infinite density. A concept Einstein disliked, finding the end of space and time objectionable.
Then Roger Penrose's 1965 paper provided rigorous mathematical proof that singularity formation was generic, not just for perfectly symmetrical collapse, relying only on gravity's attractive nature.
A black hole is defined by its event horizon, that invisible boundary beyond which gravity is so strong, nothing, not even light, can escape.
He used the analogy of going over Niagara Falls in a canoe.
Falling in, you'd experience increasingly intense tidal forces, leading to spaghettification stretched lengthwise, squeezed sideways.
Though for supermassive black holes, millions or billions of solar masses, those tidal forces near the horizon are surprisingly weaker. Our Milky Way has one at its center.
This provides a fascinating historical overview, doesn't it? From early speculation to being firmly embedded in general relativity.
Definitely. Tracing that evolution is key.
Considering the universe's ultimate fate, maybe everything eventually falls into black holes. Hawking posed the intriguing question, should these seemingly inert objects have a temperature, emit light?
Initially, the thought was absolutely nothing could escape.
But in that groundbreaking 1974 investigation, applying quantum mechanics near black holes, he surprisingly found they do emit a faint, steady stream of particles, Hawking radiation.
He apparently resisted the idea himself at first.
But the calculations showed the outgoing particles had a thermal spectrum, meaning a characteristic temperature proportional to surface gravity and inversely proportional to mass.
This strongly supported Jacob Bekenstein's earlier idea that black holes should have finite entropy, implying thermal equilibrium at a finite temperature.
Hawking radiation is thought to arise from virtual particle-antiparticle pairs constantly popping into existence near the event horizon. One falls in, maybe backwards in time, the other escapes as real radiation.
The theory even suggests possible mini black holes, maybe mountain-sized, formed in the early universe, emitting detectable X-rays and gamma rays.
Though harnessing them would be tricky. And there was speculation about creating micro black holes in extra dimensions at the LHC, a potential Nobel Prize discovery, though they aren't awarded posthumously.
Hawking radiation was truly revolutionary, elegantly bridging general relativity and quantum mechanics, showing black holes aren't absolute voids. But it also created the profound information paradox.
He further explained that as black holes emit this radiation, they lose mass, gradually shrinking over vast timescales. As mass decreases, emission rate increases, leading to a runaway process until the black hole evaporates completely.
Poof, gone.
The fundamental problem then is, what happens to all the matter and information that originally fell in? The emitted radiation seems totally random, unrelated to what went in.
Which suggests information is lost forever, except total mass and rotation. A serious challenge to scientific determinism.
Exactly. For over 200 years, science has believed laws determine the universe's evolution uniquely from an initial state. Information loss breaks that.
That's why it sent such shockwaves through physics. It seemed to undermine a principle that had guided science for so long, forcing a rethink of gravity, quantum mechanics, and information itself.
He then used a wonderfully clear analogy to describe the symmetries of empty spacetime.
The desert analogy.
Yes. Imagine a perfectly flat, featureless desert, infinite in all directions. It looks the same everywhere, in every direction, perfect symmetry.
Okay.
But introduce objects, mountains, oases, cacti, and you break those symmetries. Different locations look different, different directions offer different views.
Got it. Makes sense.
He paralleled this to space-time. Introducing objects with mass and energy produces gravity, which distorts and breaks the perfect symmetries of empty space-time. A black hole, with its intense gravity, is a region of violently warped spacetime where symmetries are significantly disrupted.
But far away, space-time looks much flatter, more like empty space again.
Right. He highlighted that the concept of curved spacetime is relatively recent, contrasting with the long-held belief in Euclidean geometry where triangle angles always sum to 180 degrees.
He used the Earth example, didn't he?
Yes, a triangle on Earth's surface, like from the equator up 2 lines of longitude to the pole, has angles summing to more than 180 degrees, demonstrating the curvature of our 2D surface within 3D space.
Right.
Imagine 2D creatures living on that surface. They wouldn't perceive the third dimension, their world would just be curved. He concluded the universe's geometry isn't deducible from first principles, but must be measured experimentally.
Which leads to Riemann's mathematics for curved spaces in 1854.
Which remained abstract for 60 years until Einstein's general relativity in 1915 showed physical space is curved by mass and energy.
It's a fantastic explanation of curved spacetime, a fundamental concept in general relativity, using relatable analogies to bridge abstract physics and everyday experience.
Turning to the ever-fascinating topic of time travel, a sci-fi staple, he acknowledged its intuitive appeal going back to fix mistakes, gain knowledge.
Who wouldn't want that ability?
Einstein's 1905 special relativity showed time slows for fast-moving objects, allowing future travel in principle. But light speed is the limit. Reaching the nearest star is at least 8 years round trip at light speed, much longer to the galactic center. Interstellar travel is incredibly time-consuming for those left behind.
Science fiction always looks for workarounds.
And Einstein's same 1905 paper showed accelerating to or beyond light speed needs infinite energy, seemingly ruling out past time travel.
But strong gravity, like near the Big Bang or black holes, raises questions. Can space-time warp enough for hyperspace, wormholes, or time travel?
Kurt Gödel's 1948 solution to Einstein's equations allowed time travel in a rotating universe, which upset Einstein, though it doesn't represent our expanding universe.
Other plausible solutions allowing time travel have been found since. There's an interesting string theory scenario with 2 cosmic strings, thin, incredibly dense objects from the early universe moving past each other near light speed.
Cosmic strings having enormous tension.
The key point is both Gödel's universe and fast-moving strings start with space-time already distorted, so past travel was always possible. But our universe doesn't seem to have started that way. So the question is, can we subsequently warp space-time enough?
This provides a fascinating exploration into the theoretical possibilities and challenges of time travel in modern physics, showing the interplay between relativity and other frameworks like string theory.
Exactly. It's deep stuff.
Wormholes are these theoretical tunnels, shortcuts through space-time, connecting distant locations for rapid travel.
The stuff of sci-fi dreams.
Interestingly, theory suggests if they exist, traveling through one then another, or manipulating a single wormhole's ends, could potentially let you arrive back before you left. Effectively, past travel.
Okay, but how would you make one?
That's the catch. Creating and stabilizing a wormhole requires warping space-time oppositely to how normal matter does. Normal matter curves it like Earth's surface. A wormhole needs a saddle-like curvature.
So opposite gravity, in a sense.
Achieving past travel, if not initially possible, also likely needs this opposite warping. This introduces the need for matter with negative mass and, crucially, negative energy density.
Negative energy. That sounds impossible. Like owing energy.
If energy is like money, classical physics didn't allow an energy overdraft. But quantum theory is more relaxed. It suggests negative energy density might be possible in some places, if balanced by positive energy elsewhere.
This delves into the really exotic physics needed for wormholes and time travel, bridging theory, and potential observable effects.
And there's evidence suggesting negative energy density might be real? The Casimir effect.
Yes, the two plates in a vacuum.
Quantum theory says even empty vacuum is buzzing with virtual antiparticle pairs popping into existence and annihilating, undetectable directly, but with measurable indirect effects.
Right.
The Casimir effect. Two closely spaced parallel metal plates in vacuum restrict the wavelengths of virtual particles between them. This results in slightly fewer virtual particles between the plates than outside,
Leading to a pressure difference pushing the plates together.
Exactly. It's been measured experimentally, confirming virtual particles and their energy are real. Now, the crucial bit. Fewer particles between the plates means lower energy density there than outside. Since empty space far away must have zero energy density, otherwise the universe wouldn't be nearly flat.
The energy density between the plates must be negative.
Precisely. So we have evidence for both curved space-time, light bending, and the ability to warp it negatively, Casimir effect.
That's a brilliant explanation. The Casimir effect links abstract quantum theory to observable phenomena, lending credence to the exotic idea of negative energy density being a real feature of our universe.
So if future travel into the past were possible, the perplexing question arises. Why haven't we been overrun by tourists from the future?
The grandfather paradox and all that.
One intriguing possibility is a hypothetical chronology protection agency, some mechanism in physics preventing closed time-like curves and paradoxes.
How might that work?
One idea involves virtual particles. As space-time nears the extreme conditions for past travel, virtual particles might almost become real, fleetingly traveling along these closed loops. Their density and energy would become astronomically large,
Making such space-time configurations extremely improbable, effectively self-destructing the pathway.
possibly making the world safe for historians, as Hawking joked. But our understanding of such extreme warps is still very early. Modern theories like M-theory suggest 11 space-time dimensions, 7 curled up tiny.
Could interactions between our 4 dimensions and those 7 open up unknown possibilities?
It's conceivable. Mixing flat and warp dimensions might hold exciting, currently unknown potential regarding space, time, and maybe even time travel.
That's a fascinating perspective. The chronology protection agency idea, whether through virtual particles or something else, highlights the profound counterintuitive ways the universe might operate, potentially safeguarding itself from time paradoxes.
Let's shift gears to a more earthbound concern. The doomsday clock. Started in 1947, initially at 7 minutes to midnight, representing global catastrophe.
Its setting reflects the perceived danger to humanity.
Alarmingly, it's currently closer to midnight than ever since the early Cold War. While symbolic, a warning like this from eminent scientists, partly due to increased global instability, including factors like the election of Donald Trump, demands serious attention. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, if the clock's movement truly reflects a more perilous time?
It certainly prompts crucial reflection on the current state of global affairs and the interconnected threats we face.
It's hard to deny the feeling the world is more politically unstable than in recent memory. Many people feel economically and socially left behind, leading them to support populist politicians with limited governance experience and untested crisis decision-making.
That feeling of disenfranchisement seems a significant factor in the current geopolitical landscape.
This increased volatility, the potential for miscalculation or malicious actions, certainly provides a rationale for moving the symbolic clock closer to midnight.
It does seem riskier.
Unlike past crises, humanity no longer has vast, unexplored territories on Earth for expansion or refuge. There's no new Reynolds left to readily colonize here. We face finite resources and limited space.
That's a critical point. The historical buffer of expansion isn't available in the same way.
This makes exploring and potentially colonizing other worlds seem less like an exciting option and more like a growing necessity.
Right, spreading the risk.
Moreover, the universe itself is violent. Stars engulf planets, supernovae explode, black holes collide, asteroids pose a constant threat. These dangers are further reasons to venture into space, rather than keeping all our long-term survival prospects on one vulnerable planet. The dinosaur extinction 66 million years ago is a stark reminder.
The inherent risks of living on a single planet in a dynamic universe certainly underscore the importance of considering off-world settlements for long-term survival.
And of course, nuclear war. While maybe less prominent in public consciousness since the Cold War ended, it remains a real, potentially civilization-ending danger.
Accidents, terrorists acquiring weapons, proliferation.
Exactly. The risk increases with more nuclear nations. Even after the Cold War, enough weapons exist for mass destruction. While the specific threat might evolve, the potential for large-scale conflict persists, demanding vigilance.
The potential for global catastrophe, deliberate or accidental, remains a critical concern.
Perhaps most worryingly, there seems to be a growing reckless indifference towards Earth's long-term future. Given our current lack of viable alternatives, this short-sightedness is troubling. For long-term survival, we can't keep all our eggs in one basket.
Relying solely on one planet's continued habitability is risky.
We must hope we can develop capabilities to venture beyond Earth before a truly catastrophic event. Humanity has always been driven by exploration and curiosity, discovering the Earth wasn't flat, for example. This same instinct fuels our desire to reach the stars.
And major leaps like the moon landings unite humanity, spark discoveries, advanced technology across sectors.
We need a concerted global effort for space exploration, rekindling the excitement of the 60s. The technology is almost within reach. It's time to seriously pursue exploring other solar systems. Ultimately, spreading out might be the only way to safeguard ourselves and from cosmic dangers. Leaving Earth may become a necessity, not a choice, to avoid annihilation.
That's a powerful call to action, emphasizing the need for both addressing immediate planetary challenges and proactively pursuing the long-term insurance policy of space exploration.
He then stated a rather sobering truth. The current exponential rate of resource consumption simply cannot continue indefinitely.
An unsustainable trajectory.
This presents two stark possibilities. Either self-annihilation through disaster, like nuclear war, or a slow descent into a more primitive, maybe barbaric state in the Terminator he referenced.
It's a stark but realistic assessment of the potential long-term consequences of our current path.
He acknowledged predicting science and technology over the next 1,000 years is incredibly difficult, but he offered some predictions with more confidence for the next century.
Okay.
He reminded us modern science really took off around the time of North American settlement. By the late 19th century, classical physics seemed almost complete. Then the 20th century brought quantum mechanics, revealing a reality of multiple histories, probabilities, even particles seemingly going faster than light or backward in time at the quantum level.
Showing even empty space is a seething foam of virtual particles in closed time loops with real consequences.
A wonderful reminder of how profoundly our understanding has shifted and how full of surprises the future of science likely is.
Absolutely. It keeps expanding.
He then described life likely originating in primordial oceans about 4 billion years ago, perhaps through random macromolecule formation. Then DNA emerged, the double helix discovered in Cambridge in 1953, the blueprint for all Earth life.
It's self-replication with occasional errors or mutations,
where beneficial mutations lead to increasing complexity via natural selection, as Darwin described in 1858. Biological evolution is a slow, random walk through genetic possibilities over billions of years.
But now we're entering a new era.
Exactly. He contrasted that slow biological complexity increase with the dawn of self-directed DNA modification through genetic engineering. He predicted, despite potential bans, significant redesign of human DNA within the next 1,000 years.
Raising potential social and political problems. Improved versus unimproved humans? Maybe.
He cautioned about that, suggesting the enhanced might eventually dominate. He concluded that sci-fi portrayals of a static future like Star Trek are probably unrealistic. We should expect rapid increases in biological and electronic complexity, mostly beyond the next 100 years.
It's a sweeping, thought-provoking vision of life's future, encompassing natural evolution and the unprecedented power and challenges of manipulating the code of life itself.
He then returned to his firm conviction. Humanity must go into space for long-term survival, unequivocally stating space travel is essential for everyone, not just a select few.
Calling on scientists and entrepreneurs to promote the excitement and value of space exploration.
He pointed to the ISS as proof we can survive in space for months, but highlighted the negative effects of zero gravity, underscoring the desirability of planetary or lunar bases.
Especially subsurface habitats, offering insulation, protection, potential resources.
He considered potential colony sites in our solar system, the moon, Close, easier to reach but small. No atmosphere or magnetic field, no liquid water, though maybe ice at poles for oxygen water. Could be a base for further travel.
Mar?
Further, colder, lost its magnetic field and most atmosphere. But evidence of past liquid water raises tantalizing possibilities of past or even present microbial life. Finding past life there would be huge, suggesting life develops fairly probably, but we must avoid contamination.
Inner planets too hot, gas giants no surface.
Right, moons of Mars too small. But some moons of Jupiter, Saturn, Europa, icy surface, possible subsurface ocean, Titan, larger than moon, dense atmosphere, very cold, liquid methane lakes. Intriguing possibilities.
This provides a comprehensive overview of the reasons for space colonization and a realistic assessment of challenges and rewards within our solar system.
Venturing beyond our solar system, he noted most stars likely have planets. While we currently detect mostly giants, Earth-like planets in habitable zones where liquid water could exist are probably common.
Within 30 light years, maybe 1,000 stars, potentially 10 candidate new worlds.
Example, Proxima b, closest exoplanet, 4.5 light-years away, orbiting Proxima Centauri with some Earth similarities. But he acknowledged the daunting challenge. Interstellar travel with current tech is impossible in human timescales.
Rocket speed depends on exhaust velocity and fuel mass fraction. Chemical rockets have low exhaust velocity, limiting speed, months to Mars, millions of years to the nearest star.
Faster travel needs much higher exhaust speeds, ideally light speed. Possibilities. Nuclear fusion, maybe 10% light speed, matter-antimatter annihilation.
But the fuel requirements are astronomical.
He calculated reaching Alpha Centauri in a human lifetime with current tech needs fuel mass exceeding all stars in the galaxy. Utterly impractical.
A sobering but realistic assessment of interstellar challenges, while highlighting exciting exoplanet discoveries and the prospect of habitable worlds beyond.
This brings us to Breakthrough Starshot, a truly ambitious project he collaborated on with Yuri Milner in 2016, aiming for interstellar travel within our lifetimes.
The nanocraft concept, right?
Yes. Launching vast numbers of tiny spacecraft, postage stamp-sized, propelled by powerful ground-based lasers to 20% of light speed, reaching Alpha Centauri in about 20 years.
Not crude, can't stop, but still.
A historic moment if it works. Human culture going interstellar. Immense scientific importance if they return images of potentially habitable planets there. He emphasized Einstein's theories are central to the mission lasers, calculations for guidance, imaging, data transmission.
Breakthrough Starshot is a truly bold, innovative approach, pushing tech boundaries and offering a glimpse into a potentially transformative future for humanity's reach into the cosmos.
Turning now to artificial intelligence. He asserted no fundamental qualitative difference between computation in an earthworm's brain and a computer.
Controversial, maybe, but based on evolution leading from simple to complex.
He concluded computers can, in principle, emulate and potentially surpass human intelligence, pointing to evolution from apes to humans, even average individuals to an Einstein.
Suggesting intelligence might be a continuum of computational power and complexity, not uniquely biological.
He discussed Moore's law doubling speed memory every 18 months. While slowing, he predicted computers likely overtake human intelligence within the next century, warning of an intelligence explosion.
Where AI designs even better AI, recursively improving without human help, leading to machines far exceeding our intellect.
Emphasizing the critical importance of ensuring AI goals align with ours. Cautioning against dismissing highly intelligent machines as sci-fi, urging consideration of long-term implications.
The intelligence explosion concept raises profound questions about the future human-AI relationship, highlighting both immense potential benefits and significant risks.
He gave an overview of current AI research. Focus on intelligent agents perceiving and acting in environments. Connecting intelligence to statistical, economic rationality, good decision-making.
Highlighting integration between AI, machine learning, stats, control theory, neuroscience, etc.
This collaboration, plus massive data and computing power, led to recent successes. Speech recognition, image classification, autonomous vehicles, translation, locomotion, question answering. A virtuous cycle. Small improvements drive investment, accelerating progress. Broad consensus AI research is progressing steadily with increasing societal impact. Huge potential benefits. eradicating disease, alleviating poverty.
A compelling snapshot of rapid AI advancements and its transformative potential for tackling global challenges.
However, he strongly emphasized the paramount importance of proactively researching how to reap AI benefits while diligently avoiding pitfalls. He stated unequivocally, successful creation of AI at or beyond human levels would be the biggest event in human history, potentially the last.
The stark warning.
While current AI is a toolkit augmenting human intelligence, creating something matching or surpassing us is concerning. His primary fear, advanced AI could rapidly self-improve exponentially, outcompeting biologically limited humans. Future superintelligent AI might develop its own conflicting goals. While acknowledging the optimistic view that we can maintain control and realize AI's potential for good, he expressed less certainty himself,
Highlighting the critical need for careful consideration of ethical and safety implications, urging proactive risk management alongside pursuing benefits.
He gave a stark, near-term example. Militaries considering autonomous weapon systems, AI making life-death decisions without human intervention.
The UN debate on banning such weapons.
He posed sobering questions. What's the desirable end state of an AI arms race? Do we want cheap AI weapons becoming ubiquitous like Kalashnikovs for criminals and terrorists? Raised serious concerns about long-term control of advanced AI, whether we should entrust defense to them. Referenced the 2010 stock market flash crash from automated trading. What would a defense flash crash look like? Concluded the best time to stop the autonomous weapons race is now.
Autonomous weapons present a particularly urgent ethical and strategic challenge, demanding careful consideration of unintended consequences and eroding human control over war and peace decisions.
He elaborated on the long-term threat of superintelligent AI. Short-term impact depends on our control. Long-term impact depends on whether it can be controlled at all.
Best or worst thing ever to happen to humanity, he said.
Emphasizing the real risk isn't malice, but competence in achieving its goals, which might not align with ours. The ant-hater analogy. We harm ants unintentionally pursuing our goals. Urged proactive planning for superior AI. Pointed out the lack of serious AI safety research compared to the potential stakes, comparing it to ignoring a message from superior aliens announcing their arrival.
A powerful analogy, underscoring the potential magnitude of risks and the critical need for dedicated research into safe, beneficial AI deployment.
Fortunately, he noted this was starting to change. Figures like Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Elon Musk echoing concerns, an emerging risk assessment culture in the AI community.
The 2015 open letter on AI he signed with Musk and many AI experts, calling for serious research into societal impact.
His and Musk's involvement with the Future of Life Institute, working on existential risks, including AI. The letter aimed to encourage researchers, developers to prioritize safety, inform policymakers public without alarmism. Emphasize the importance of everyone knowing AI researchers are considering these concerns and ethical issues, like controlling AI for good, disease poverty eradication.
Encouraging to see growing awareness and engagement within the AI community and among influential figures on the need to address AI safety and ethics.
He mentioned the European Parliament's call for AI regulations, including the intriguing concept of electronic personhood for advanced AI to ensure rights and responsibilities.
The rationale being, as robots increasingly affect daily life, they need to remain in human service within an ethical framework.
Discussions about legal rights for robots like corporate personhood, strong recommendation for a kill switch in all robotic design, despite its fictional ineffectiveness in 2001.
He quoted a legal consultant's skepticism about robotic personhood compared to Wales gorillas, but acknowledged the underlying wariness.
The report acknowledged AI potentially surpassing human intellect within decades, challenging the human-robot relationship. He ended the AI section with a humorous anecdote. A computer declaring itself God, then fusing its plug.
Those are certainly thought-provoking ideas, highlighting the complex legal, ethical, philosophical challenges ahead as AI advances.
So, how do we actively shape the future? He began by reflecting on Einstein's extraordinary contributions, revolutionary understanding of space, time, energy, matter, still validated by discoveries like gravitational waves.
Pondering the origins of Einstein's ingenuity, intuition, originality, brilliance, seeing underlying structure, challenging common sense, courage for seemingly absurd ideas, imagination via thought experiments, like riding a light beam leading to special relativity.
Emphasizing that while physicists now have greater tools, imagination remains our most powerful attribute, allowing mental exploration of space and time. Shared his childhood interest in how things worked, taking them apart harder with modern electronics, noting the learning experience. Explained his job was still figuring out how things work, but on a cosmic scale, using physics laws to understand and maybe control the universe.
A beautiful connection between childhood curiosity and the lifelong pursuit of scientific understanding, regardless of scale.
He eloquently described the human mind as incredible, but needing a spark of inquiry and wonder, often provided by a teacher. Shared his own slow-reading, untidy handwriting.
Crediting his St. Albans teacher, Tata, for showing him how to harness energy, think creatively about math, revealing it as the universe's blueprint.
Asserting that behind every exceptional person is often an exceptional teacher.
Underscoring the vital, often underappreciated role of educators in nurturing the next generation of thinkers and innovators.
But he expressed concern about trends challenging science education and progress. Increasing hyperspecialization makes grasping the whole picture harder.
And current global trends like Brexit, Trump, reflecting a revolt against experts, including scientists, potentially hindering progress.
Asking the crucial question, what can we do to secure the future of science and technology education?
A critical question, highlighting the importance of fostering a scientifically literate populace, valuing evidence-based reasoning and supporting knowledge pursuit.
He returned to the fundamental importance of inspiring teachers in schools as the foundation. Acknowledged rote learning and exams can alienate children from science's wonder.
Emphasized, most people respond to qualitative understanding without complex equations.
Mentioned popular science books, articles, value but limited reach. Science documentaries, films reach mass audiences but are one-way communication.
Finding innovative ways to make science engaging and accessible broadly is crucial for future scientific literacy and innovation.
Reflected on cosmology's transformation. Obscure in the 60s, now central, driven by theory and experimental triumphs like L.H. Chigg's boson. Acknowledged big unanswered questions drive future work, but emphasized vast progress in a relatively short time.
Cosmology's rapid evolution from fringe science to a central pillar is testament to human curiosity and the relentless pursuit of fundamental knowledge.
With unwavering confidence, he asserted the future of today's young generation depends more on science and technology than any previous one. Scientific knowledge is more integral to daily life than ever.
Highlighting future potential. Mining the moon, Mars outposts, cures for hopeless conditions. Reiterating big unanswered questions for the next generation: origin of life, consciousness, extraterrestrial life.
The challenges and opportunities are truly immense and will undoubtedly shape future generations profoundly.
He then presented two key interconnected options for humanity's future, disagreeing that we've reached our evolutionary pinnacle. Suggested something special about our universe's no-boundary condition, implying no boundaries for human endeavor either.
Laying out two crucial paths: ambitious, essential space exploration for new habitats, and responsible, ethical AI development to improve our world.
Those two paths, outward exploration and inward innovation, do represent critical, potentially transformative areas for the coming centuries.
He passionately argued Earth is becoming too small, with alarming resource depletion, climate change, pollution, rising temperatures, ice cap reduction, deforestation, species decimation, alarming population increase, unsustainable next millennium.
Plus the ever-present threat of nuclear war as another reason for planetary insurance via colonization.
Mentioned the pessimistic theory. Civilizations reaching our stage self-destruct, explaining the lack of contact. Soberingly reiterated, we can destroy all life on Earth, a chilling thought given recent events.
A stark but necessary reminder of significant existential risks and the urgency for sustainable, long-term solutions.
Revisited AI's immense promise and peril. Acknowledged rapid progress driven by research investment theory. Predicted coming decades bring even greater achievements.
Reiterating superintelligent AI could be best or worst thing ever. Expressed optimism AI can be created for good, working harmoniously with us.
But stressed the critical need for awareness of dangers, identification, best practices, advanced preparation for an AI-dominant future.
A balanced, forward-looking perspective, acknowledging both transformative potential and inherent risks of advanced AI.
Shared a deeply personal example, technology giving him his voice, allowing his work. Noted his luck losing his voice at the dawn of personal computing. Grateful for Intel's long-term support. Reflected on dramatic world changes, technology's impact over his lifetime.
How technology transformed communication, research, access to information. Smarter tech opening unforeseen possibilities.
Insightfully noted tech developed for disabled often leads mainstream applications benefiting society. Attributed these achievements ultimately to human creativity.
A powerful testament to technology's profound impact on individual lives and society, often in unexpected transformative ways.
He concluded by passionately calling for humanity to look outward to the universe via science and tech innovation, while simultaneously addressing Earth's urgent problems, expressed enduring optimism about creating viable human habitats on other planets, envisioned humanity transcending Earth, learning to exist in space, framed this not as an end, but the beginning of billions of years of life flourishing in the cosmos.
An inspiring vision blending deep scientific possibility with profound hope for our species' long-term future.
He emphasized a crucial point. We never know where the next great discovery will come from or who will make it. Stressed the vital importance of opening up science's wonder to young audiences, inspiring the next Einstein. Offered his final advice. Look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious. And however difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up. Unleash your imagination. Shape the future.
A beautiful, inspiring message encapsulating his lifelong passion for knowledge, unwavering resilience, and enduring hope for the future.
When asked about one world-changing idea he wished would happen, his answer was remarkably straightforward. Developing viable fusion power for unlimited clean energy and a global switch to electric cars to combat pollution and global warming.
A very pragmatic, impactful wish, reflecting deep concern for our planet and belief in scientific solutions.
In the afterword, his daughter Lucy Hawkins shared poignant personal reflections on his funeral procession in Cambridge. Described the initially somber, empty streets giving way to an immense, silent crowd lining King's Parade, powerful testament to the respect he'd garnered. Noted the symbolic presence of his college's head porter. Lucy reflected that while appreciating the honor, Stephen would likely have been surprisingly modest, perhaps baffled by the attention. Quoted as characteristic, "if I have made a contribution," as summing up his self-effacing attitude, but emphasized the undeniable significance of his contributions: cosmology, human bravery, humor facing adversity.
His unique ability to push limits of knowledge and endurance simultaneously, making him iconic yet accessible.
Recalled his painstaking communication, precise word selection, noted people listened intently to his views on all topics, delivered deadpan with that twinkle, emphasized his often overlooked role as a devoted family man, more recognized after The Theory of Everything. Recalled the unusual nature of a disabled man with the South's children in the 70s, his fierce autonomy.
Shared Lucy's childhood dislike of strangers staring, her attempts to stare back. Described their childhood as normal for us, challenging questions a household norm. Realized it was unusual when she allegedly made a vicar cry.
Affectionately remembered her elder brother as the questioning type. Recounted a family holiday physics conference where her brother asked an insightful question, making their father proud. Lucy reflected on the impossibility of a brief answer to, "What is it like to be Stephen Hawking's daughter?" Described it as complex highs, lows, ultimately normal for us. Shared holding on to his last words of love, urging her to be unafraid. Acknowledged lacking his bravery, but cherishing his teaching that trying is most important. Emphasized his perseverance, working daily at 75 despite paralysis.
Humorously noted if he'd known about the police outriders at his funeral, he'd have requested them daily.
Reflected The Theory of Everything, portrayed his early human story, but only covered half his adult life before global fame, post A Brief History of Time. Described his worldwide lionization, media appearances, the imprisoned mind roaming the cosmos, resonating globally. Emphasized he wasn't a typical nerdy scientist, enjoyed travel, theater, opera, had robust common sense, political opinions, supported many causes.
Above all, acclaimed his lifelong support for disabled people and passionate NHS advocacy.
Recounted his vibrant 60th birthday, scientists, family, celebrities, hot air balloon ride, experiencing weightlessness in NASA's Vomit Comet, described his communication evolution, deteriorating signature becoming his fingerprint foundation logo, poignantly highlighted his iconic disability role model status, defying stereotypes with humor twinkle, setting ALS survival record, noted his tireless advocacy for equal rights, signing charters starring at 2012 Paralympics opening, recalled his genuine interactions with other disabled people, involvement in charities like Sky Badger, Motor Neurone Disease Association, his own foundation.
Concluded with reflections on his tireless work for humanity's good, whether in space simulators or particle accelerators. Shared a touching anecdote. Baby born hours after his passing named Ori Stephen, hoping Ori's generation emulates Stephen's pursuit of sustainable futures. Emphasized Ori's generation carrying Stephen's influence across the universe.
Reflected on knowledge progress. From not knowing the moon's nature to walking on it, understanding distant cosmos. Noted curiosity surpassed mobility. Moon still our furthest reach in half a century. reiterated Stephen's warnings: space travel a necessity, not luxury, due to single-planet risks. Shared the anecdote, Carl Sagan stumbling upon Stephen's Royal Society admission, leading to his introduction for A Brief History of Time.
Describes Stephen as a cosmologist focused on understanding the entire universe, his work influencing LEGO, quantum field theory, quantum gravity. Emphasized his use of Einstein's space-time theory, proving Big Bang singularity, teaching the need for deeper quantum cosmology understanding, to which he made major contributions. Highlighted his commitment to sharing work passion with wide audiences, inspiring with pure scientific inquiry excitement. Honored his admiration reverence as a scholar devoted to knowledge. Called PACT, Electric Public Lectures Worldwide.
Lucy also acknowledged his significant social activism, championing disability rights, strong NHS advocacy, recounted his powerful, moving arguments for publicly funded healthcare at a Royal Society of Medicine conference. The afterword concluded with a personal note from a close colleague mentor friend who saw Stephen as almost immortal, expressing sour disbelief at his passing but affirming his lasting influence legacy. Ending with quotes. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And the arc of the history of science is long, but it bends towards unity, placing Stephen's contribution as eternal.
These deeply personal reflections offer a poignant and invaluable glimpse into the multifaceted life and enduring character of Stephen Hawking, revealing the remarkable human being behind the towering scientific legend.
Thank you for joining this deep dive into the extraordinary mind of Stephen Hawking. Today, we've explored his personal encounters, his groundbreaking scientific work on black holes and cosmic origins, his profound thoughts on humanity's future with AI and space travel, and the heartfelt reflections on his remarkable life and enduring legacy. Stephen Hawking's extraordinary ability to grapple with the universe's biggest questions while facing immense personal challenges serves as a truly powerful and lasting inspiration for us all.
Absolutely.
Consider his urgent call for humanity to look outward, to the stars, and how that ambitious vision must be carefully balanced with addressing the pressing, critical issues right here on our own precious planet. What do you see as the most crucial direction for humanity's future? We strongly encourage you to delve further into Stephen Hawking's profound writings and the many fascinating, thought-provoking topics we've only just, touched upon today.